hope you're well. Hope you're having a good week so far. Despite everything that's going on at West Ham, I hope you're good. It's a tough time, isn't it? This is a really crap time to be a West Ham fan. Not easy whatsoever. But apologies, by the way, for not doing a video yesterday. Usually 1 or 2 a day is the kind of running theme of the channel. But to be honest, we've got quite a bit of cold and flu around the house at the moment. So everyone's a little bit under the weather. So it sort of knocked us a little bit. So I've been unable to do it. And I've got to be honest, it's not easy as well with what's going on at the moment. When you're not feeling so well, and then you've got to talk about West Ham. That's not a good combination. Not a good combination. But anyway, we're picking things back up as where we were really. Talk about the managerial situation. Before I do though, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. Free to do so. Really appreciate it. Also hit that like button, and if you can, give us a hype. Why not? I don't want to keep feeling like I'm repeating myself all the time talking about the managerial situation. I know it's the sort of hot talking point, of course, that with the pressure on the board, which we'll come back to as well. This video is to talk about Graham Potter in particular. We had an update from XWH employee, which I'm going to touch on, and also talk about further talks about potential managers, including Scott Parker, but I'm going to come to that in a minute. So let's talk about the update from X first of all, which was regards to Potter and his situation at the moment. Now, I think that many were expecting Potter to be sacked after the Crystal Palace defeat. Totally get that, especially when, combined with the fact that they'd been interviewing managers. We know they'd spoken to Slaven Bilic. They had interview with Nuno Espirito Santo last Thursday. Karen Brady did. Then he followed up with a second interview or chat, whatever, meeting, what you want to call it, with David Sullivan on the Friday at his home. Obviously, there's images of that, not necessarily the meeting, but of the Nuno out and about around Sullivan's mansion. So yeah, that's happened. There's no two ways about it. So I think it gave the impression that we lose to Palace, he's in. To be honest, I felt it myself. I thought, well, that probably could be the case then. But it hasn't happened. We've got the update from X now suggesting that Graham Potter will be given at least the Everton game. It's more likely he's actually going to be given Everton and Arsenal. I don't get it. I don't agree with this at all. I hate this strange period where West Ham, it's almost like a paralysis where they just can't make an action, can't make a decision. It's like, right, what we're going to do? We don't want this guy, but we have to find someone else. They've got no forward planning or what's the word, like proactive approach to things. So, for instance, my point is with this, right? They clearly decided that they don't want Graham Potter, and rightly so. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Potter has to go. The results have been horrendous under him. 24% win percentage is shocking. 27 games and 6 wins is ridiculously bad. This season alone, we've won 1 game all season, and that includes a cup game as well. So 6 out of 6, we've won 1 and lost 5. In all competitions, played 5 Premier League games, lost 4. We're on -8 goals. It's just horrendous. There's no, you can't disguise it and say, well, yeah, that wouldn't have happened. Sorry, that's terrible, but there's this to sort of try and counteract it. Everything's bad. We're bottom on everything. It's just we are in really bad shape, and there has to be a change. And that clearly is the thinking here at West Ham, because the club are interviewing. They are looking at other managers. But the update from X is that Potter has been given at least Everton. I don't know why they do this. I really don't understand why they do this, because it's almost like they are sacrificing a game, and possibly even 2, because Arsenal are going to be thrown into that as well. And the message coming out from X was that the club was saying, well, because they're deemed really hard games. These are really tough games, 2 away fixtures. We don't want to put a new boss in charge. Well, if that's the case, right, if your thinking is we're going to spend the next couple of few weeks sorting out getting a new manager in, then why can't you just put an interim guy in for now? Why can't you put in Mark Robson, Kevin Keane, whatever, Mark Noble even possibly helping out? Why can't they do something like that? Why is it that we have to have this bizarre, we're going to keep you in the job, but we're going to sack you in a couple of weeks? Because what is that doing to Graham Potter? What's that doing to him and his team? If they know, because they're not stupid, they read, they go online, I'm sure, and see things. They might say they don't. Oh yeah, I'm not interested in all that. Well, of course you are. It's your job. You know what I mean? If someone was writing about my career and telling me that I'm going to get sacked, I'm sure I'd be quite interested to know what's happening. So I don't buy that. But what's it doing to morale? I mean, how can you go to work? How can you go to work on a Monday fully in the knowledge that your employers are interviewing other people for your job. I just don't get it. I really don't understand what motivation that is for him to do well. Um, and if you look at the statements that are coming out from the football club, they're not they're not backing Potter. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing coming out from the football club to say we believe in this guy and we're going to stand by him and whatnot. There's nothing coming out from him, so it's obvious that he's on his way out. I don't understand why there's such a reluctance to do the interim position while we then go and try and get out and sort out a new manager. I've never understood it at West Ham. It's this bizarre obsession, I believe, from David Sullivan and Brady. I think you have to lump them together, of this obsessive nature of Premier League experience. They must have Premier League experience. They must have Premier League experience. What bloody hell good has that ever done us? I mean, they keep bleating about these stupid rules. We've got to have them in place. They've got to be available. And yet they're continually cocking up on these managerial appointments. You think you might look yourself in the mirror and go, maybe we should scrap that stupid rule because it doesn't seem to do us any good. Anyway, I'll stop ranting soon. The situation is that Potter has been given Everton anyway, so that's something we're just going to have to accept. The update from X has said that Potter called a meeting with all the players and staff, everyone, kitman, the lot, physios, recruitment, everyone that's involved regarding the West Ham first team were all called to a big meeting, and it was apparently very motivational, very much an honest assessment of where we are. A very much a case of look, let's pull ourselves, let's all pull together, let's all work as one, let's get out of this mess. Maybe there's a feeling from Potter and his camp then that look, we can turn the situation around. The only way they turn this situation around is by going to Everton and winning, and then going to Arsenal and winning. That's the only way I see it. That the board will then go, oh, okay, ooh, maybe we'll stick by them then, and we'll see how we go. West Ham ain't going to Everton and Arsenal and winning. I'm very confident in that. You can't win 6 games in 27, then win 2 in 2. It just doesn't happen. You see it a lot, don't you, in relegation battles? It's just obvious when teams are going down. When you look at their record, you just think they're not going to accumulate these points. You're going to have to literally flip all of your form that you've had. So we're going to have to change everything since January in the space of 2 games. It's not going to happen. I'm not confident. Look, football's football and anything can happen. I understand that, but I think it's fair to say that is highly unlikely. So I don't really know what the benefit is of doing what they're doing at the moment. But the update from X has said that is what's happened behind the scenes, that Potter is fighting. He's trying to get everyone on board, trying to get his way out of this and keep his job, which is understandable. Let's be honest. Graham Potter walks away from West Ham because he is walking away from West Ham at some point soon, with his reputation in absolute tatters. He's gone from Brighton, where he was considered, he was certainly an elite manager, but you wouldn't say he was far away from it, because then they went to Chelsea and Chelsea paid money to get him in. And it was like, this guy's going to come in and do X, Y, Z for a long-term project at Chelsea. Well, that went completely pear-shaped. He couldn't cope with the job. It's been the same at West Ham. Let's be honest. It's been a rinse repeat. It's come to West Ham and nothing's happened. It's been poor. The results have been poor. The performances have been poor. And it's not changing. He had a free pass at West Ham from January to the end of last season. And quite rightly so, I think. I don't think it was fair to hammer the bloke to come into a situation like he did. But let's get it right. He's been relatively backed in the summer. All right, it might not. There'd be certain question marks over certain players we should have got over the line. But on the whole, you look at West Ham, you look at the players that we've got at this football club now, the midfielders that he wanted, and etc. etc. We don't look any better. And there's not enough. There's no signs there. There's no indication that things are going to change. So yeah, it's only going one way. And he leaves this club again. And as I say, I think his reputation is total tatters. He certainly won't be getting another Premier League job anytime soon. He'd have to go down to the Championship League. You know what I mean? That's where he's going, or abroad to try and redeem himself and to try and rebuild his career, because it's absolutely on the floor at the moment. Then it moves on now to the managerial appointment, who West Ham are going to be bringing in. Now, as I've said, we know the situation with Nuno. He's interviewed. I believe he is considered the front runner, I would say. Now, we understand it that Slaven Bilic has been spoken to, his agent's been talking to the club, etc., etc. The reports then from Claret and Hugh, from Gonzo on Claret and Hugh, are suggesting that Bilic is out of the running now, that he is no longer considered a candidate to be coming in to replace Graham Potter. I've said before, I didn't really feel Bilic was the right appointment. Just doesn't. He hasn't done enough in his career to make you go, here, come in and sort this out. I just don't see it. As much as I think there's that romance inside, you know what I mean, of someone like Bilic coming back in, I just don't think it's a good appointment. But so Claret Hugh is saying that's not happening. Now, what the reports are now saying that there are three candidates. Three candidates. One is Nuno. The other two have got Premier League experience, and they're not names that have been reported in the media. So it makes you go, okay, right, that's interesting. So we know the names. We've heard of Steve Cooper, Daesh. You know, we've heard the names. McKenna's come up. There's been a few names banded around. I'll just be honest, most of them I don't like. The only one that I actually think I'd rather see out of all of them is Nuno. I think, right, if that's the pool, I'll have him. Not to say it's the best appointment we can get. I've said this so many times. So it's coming out now. This is coming a bit later on that Scott Parker could well be one of the names on that list. And that's come from Gonzo, who's saying that. Scotty Parker is one of the names that's under serious consideration, and West Ham would even look to pay compensation to get him. Noble of them. Okay, let's get this right. Scott Parker to West Ham. I would be happy with that appointment. I'm going to be honest. I like Parker. I think he's done a fabulous job at Burnley. I know he's had a few issues elsewhere. I know he left Bournemouth, didn't he? But I think overall Parker's career has been positive overall. Of course, he's got that connection at West Ham. I'll be honest. I've always had this feeling with him where I'm still gutted he went to Spurs. I don't know, that sounds a bit bitter, but I loved him at West Ham. When he was West Ham captain, I thought he was a fabulous captain for us. Such a good player, worked so hard and just epitomised West Ham, really. He was a fabulous player for us. And then we got relegated. I mean, he got PFA Player of the Season. PFA Player of the Season, which is voted for by other players. He won that award, and the season we got relegated. I mean, I think that's the one and only time it's ever happened. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the only time it's happened. So that just goes to show you how good a player he was at West Ham. Obviously captain that season, but he left the following season, and rightly so, by the way. He couldn't stay at West Ham in the Championship. He was far too good for it. And I believe it was that season we had the Euros. I think it was the Euros. The World Cup or the Euros. I think it was the Euros. And he had to go back to the Premier League. Unfortunately, he was with Tottenham, and it was always one of them that I just thought, anyone but bloody Tottenham. Couldn't you just gone anywhere else but bloody Tottenham? But I kind of get it, and it wasn't like it was a huge betrayal, and he desperately wanted to go. It was purely because he needed to be playing football, and he wanted to get into that England squad. So I think there was an understanding there. But me as a fan, personally, it was always one I struggled to get past. I hated seeing him in Tottenham kit. Anyway, Parker to West Ham, though. I think he would be a good appointment. I think he's got a good energy about him. I think he'd have a good connection with the fans. I think there's something about Parker and West Ham that just works. You know what I mean? Really did work well. So I'm not saying I wouldn't like that. But what it also does throw out there then is that, okay, West Ham are now considering paying compensation for a manager. Well, if that's the case, who's number three? Who is number three? Premier League experience. I can only go by the fact that possibly then someone that's available, that's in work, that is not available. Marco Silva? Is that someone we're going to go and look to try and get? I don't believe so. I don't believe the club will do that. But that's what I want to see. The interesting part of this, I think, is the fact that Daniel Kretinsky is understood to be taking a real big interest now in West Ham's managerial appointment. So he bloody should be, by the way. I mean, I'd like to know where the bloody bloke was when we got Lopetegui. Because it's quite clear he had no involvement in that. Because I don't know who would have ever signed off on that other than Sullivan and Brady. Because that is the reason. That appointment is the reason why we are where we are today. Let's make no mistake. Replacing David Moyes horrendously bad is the reason why West Ham are now firmly in a relegation battle and, facing doom because of that. So, yeah, I understand it. And Kretinsky's taking a view of this. Now, if Kretinsky's taking a view of this and coming in and saying, well, I want to have an involvement and who was going to, next manager's going to be, maybe, just maybe, that is the reason why West Ham are going, what about Parker? What about mystery man number 3? Silva, possibly. Mate, is it? I don't know. Let's just say it is. Is it Kretinsky turning around and saying, "Well, actually, do you know what? Well, that's what we should be doing"? Because that is what West Ham should be doing. This is not new. I think we're the only club I can think of, certainly in the Premier League, that goes, if we get rid of a manager, they have to be available. They have to be our work. It's a fucking crazy concept and a crazy rule to put in place and impose on yourself. You know, I mean, you're literally handcuffing yourself when you're trying to push a football club forward. It's absolutely crazy. So that's where we are, I think, at the moment with the managerial stuff. Potter's here for the Everton game, at least. I believe it will be Everton and Arsenal. I think West Ham are going to see that through and then make a decision after that. I hate it. I don't agree with it. I think it's short-sighted. I think it's penny pinching. And I don't know what it does for anyone involved, including Graham Potter. And I think you've got to feel sorry for him, really. The fact that Blake's now got to go to work knowing that West Ham are trying to replace him, I think it's bad. However, the fact that Kinsky is now understood to be involved in this recruitment process, hopefully that's going to lean West Ham to actually make a bit more of a solid decision when it comes to our managerial appointment. And who knows, it could well be Scott Parker or this mystery number 3. And I do hope it's Marco Silva, but I'm certainly holding my breath. Look, have a good one. I'll come back soon with any more news we get from X. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Come on, you irons.